Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Godzilla podcast. Well, this is it, my official review of the Godzilla 2014 film. This is a moment I have been waiting for the longest time now. I've been doing these Godzilla news videos for about 4 years now, all the way since 2010, a little before the San Diego Comic-Con started on there, and ever since then I've been waiting for the moment where I can officially give my own review and give my own insight into what essentially 4 years of work eventually led up to. So I'm very excited to provide all this information to everybody for you. I saw this movie on Monday, and when I went home it was already too late to do a review, and then I was going to do it on Tuesday, but I thought I would give it just one more day, let the ideas, let the experience settle, so that way I don't do anything impromptu. And then finally today, my review is up, so it's going to be probably in several parts, so be sure to look out for the other ones out there, because my videos are still kind of limited to around 15 minutes, but I want to make sure again that I give as much insight as possible into why I feel the movie has some good items and some bad items on there, and then I'll give my final analysis on whether it's 1 up to 4 stars on there. So, and as always, thank you everybody for your continued support all these years. Very much appreciated in watching my videos. Absolutely, I'll continue to do future videos related to the Godzilla world, because as I mentioned in the past, this is just the beginning. We have still so many more items to talk about, from the inevitable DVD, Blu-ray release information to other tie-ins associated with the film, to also, of course, the upcoming sequel and all the trials and tribulations associated with that, and all the other ancillary stuff like the items with the producers still left, and then anything else involving the Godzilla world in general. So absolutely, it'll still continue, and I appreciate everybody following and continuing to subscribe on there. So this movie, before I give my review, just wanted to give a good summation of why I think a certain way on here. I'll never forget reading this a couple of years back when that Terminator Salvation film first came out. The director of it, a guy who goes by that ridiculous nickname Mick G, stated that way before he even started the film, he had a meeting, or I guess get together with James Cameron, who of course is the godfather, I guess you could call him, of the Terminator world. He created it, it's out of his hands now, but he's definitely the person that everyone sees whenever anything is coming up for the Terminator films. And he basically sought him because he wanted to kind of get his blessing on the new film, and then give his ideas and his input and see what he thinks on there. Cameron heard all of this, according to the document that I read, and then McG stated that Cameron said, at the end of the day, I'm still going to give it a critique. He said, I'm still going to say whether I loved it or hate it, and it has nothing to do with you. It's because at the end of the day, I'm going to give my honest feedback, and I'm not going to hold back. And that told him, the reason why he mentioned that was, even though he of course created the Terminator franchise, he's not biased against it. If something is being presented to him with the Terminator world, he's gonna unflinchingly give his honest opinion, not just because it satisfies him, but he also wants it to be true. And that's the reason I mentioned that, is because here as well I am not biased. Even with my love for Godzilla and my love for the franchise, and of course all the years that I've been doing these videos, at the end of the day I will give an unbiased review of the film, because that's what the film deserves. So I'm not going to say 100%, oh my god, I loved it, it's absolutely the best thing in the world, it's better than anything no, everything involves having the film be honestly critiqued, and that's the mindset that I went to when I saw this film. So I'm going to do it in 2 parts, the good and the bad. First, involving the good. Now, the movie itself, the good parts on there were phenomenal. I'll highlight some of the stuff that is really, really good within the film. Number 1, The monsters, Godzilla and the Mutos, absolutely phenomenal stuff. I was blown away by the experience of seeing Godzilla as he's truly meant to see within the film. This is the Godzilla that you and I grew up with, the serious Godzilla, the force of nature Godzilla, and in some cases the deadly Godzilla, not the campy, not the hokey, not the jumping up and down and flying through the air with ninja kicks and then also flying backwards with his atomic breath Godzilla. No, this is the Godzilla that you and I grew up, that has the respect that he deserves and the seriousness that he deserves. And this time, combined with the amazing work done on him, it was absolutely phenomenal to see him on the big screen. Sure enough, it took about an hour or so for him to make his big reveal, but when it occurred, it was absolutely beautiful. Whenever that foot first stomped down at the now infamous airport scene, that was amazing. I remember at the theater, because I knew what was going to happen when those airplanes were exploding from the helicopter crashing into them at the airport, and I knew that Godzilla's foot, and I was waiting to see how the audience would react, because sure enough, that scene, the way it plays out, whenever you see Godzilla's massive size, I heard a lot of people gasp within the theater. They didn't realize how big he was going to be compared to everything else, and I loved that moment when the camera panned up. We saw our first full clear shot of Godzilla. It was beautiful. This was a moment I've been waiting for a long time, to see him on the big screen again. Well-deserved hero shot, well-deserved intro shot. It couldn't have gone better on there. And then with regards to the rest of him in the film, the way he acts, the way he looks, the way he moves, nothing was wrong with him at all. He was as far as perfect as can be. Even the way he fights with the other monsters on there, he's just a big bear. It seems like that's how they seem to pit him within the film. Just a big bear that moves. He doesn't have any stealth necessarily, but he's just a force to be reckoned with, just a force of nature, a juggernaut, if you will. And he is amazing on there. The other monsters, the Mutos, I was absolutely surprised by how well they were presented. They were probably presented even more better than Godzilla himself. I mean, they are the stars. They stole the movie itself. From the very first shot of the Mutos, in this case the winged one, hatching and being born, I mean, it was captivating from the get-go. Here you had a monster that was being born, and the first thing it realized was that it was captive, and then they put in that intelligent scene where it realizes the wire surrounding him, and it carefully clips its hooks around the wire and then draws the rest of the cranes in, so that way it can escape rather than just thrashing about unintelligibly and stupidly and hurting itself even more. Oh, by the way, before I go any further, there are going to be spoilers within these reviews, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, be sure to pause and go see it and then come back. Otherwise, again, fair warning, there's going to be spoilers on there. So back to the monsters. Yeah, the Mutos were absolutely riveting. They were the best thing in the movie itself. It's amazing how you could have items essentially that are created from scratch, from nothing. They don't exist, and yet they have more character, more drama, more everything in them than most everything else within the film, short of Godzilla on there. Also, the way the Mutos, they weren't the villains within the film. They were just living. They had no malice to them. They had no bad intentions in them. They were just ordinary organisms looking to live within the real world, and unfortunately it happens to occupy the space the humans have, and then of course with Godzilla coming on board, so you almost felt sorry for the Mutos. Especially there was that one touching scene where the winged Muto essentially brought that canister full of, plutonium or whatever radioactive item was inside it, carefully and lovingly to the female Muto, the much larger one, and the way she accepted it, and then they both, began caressing each other. I mean, it made you feel sorry to know that both of them were going to be wiped out later on in the film, and wiped out for no other reason than they were existing, than they were living. But that's nature, and that's how, I guess, life happens when it comes to nature. So when it comes to those Mutos, again, it was a little sad to see them go, but it goes to show how well the work was done with them. So that way you were actually rooting for them in some cases. I mean, I was actually hoping that there would have been some kind of solution. Maybe, take a little bit of the draft of the Godzilla 2 movie, the one that was never made, and have the Mutos live in Australia or somewhere, some desert outback that is so far away from anything else human that they would just live in peace. But of course, at the end of the day, that's not going to work on there. So absolutely, the monsters themselves, the biggest highlight of the film. Perfectly made, perfectly created monsters. The Mutos, they will easily go into the realm of the Godzilla franchise as one of the best Godzilla, I guess you could call them, villains within the film. Easily up there with some of the other classics. I loved all the scenes with the monsters. Every single review that I've read has commented that how people wish there could have been more shots of the monsters, and I wholeheartedly agree. What was given to us is a loss when it comes to how little they came about on there. And but hopefully with any future sequel, especially if it's relayed with the idea that it's a destroy all monsters type movie, then we'll absolutely get our wish on there. So A++ on when it comes to the monster design. Very good stuff. Now, another thing that was really good within the movie was the opening itself. I would probably call it like the first half on there, and this all had to do with the absolutely riveting first part of the movie when Cranston's character and Julie Binoche's character came on board. They all seemed so perfect, so lifelike. Instead of it being like a, I guess, fake type scenario where people are talking fake and where it looks like it's people acting. No, this looked like a documentary almost. Here you had two people that absolutely loved each other, but they conveyed it in a very realistic way. I was amazed again that how well certain scenes played out, because it absolutely looked like they were not acting, like they were just there, like they were actually living, like a camera actually was hidden somewhere and then was just capturing these people throughout their regular work life. And it all set up to that tragic, absolutely tragic ending for Julia Binoche's character. So sad on there. Again, I knew what was going to happen on there, and it was dead quiet whenever the theater, whenever that scene occurred where she was caught in that fallout within the nuclear plant. The doors sealed on her. You see Cranston's character absolutely just guilt-ridden with what he had to do, and then you see Binoche's character accept that what he did was right, and at the same time she was saying hello and goodbye to him for the final time. Very, very riveting stuff on there. Blew me away how well that particular scene was, and then anything else following afterward with Cranston's character and him being so haunted by the experience that he sacrificed essentially his family, what was left of it with his son, and then spent the rest of the time period just finding the answer, demanding to know the truth associated with what happened on that fateful day. Beautiful stuff, very haunting, very lifelike. That was absolutely amazing, that opening on there. And again, this is all encapsulating the discovery of that radiation plant actually being there, with his son going to inspect the quote-unquote deserted island. It's all perfectly crafted. The mystery was built more and more and more until the escape of the Muto. So that's what I call a perfect opening on there, with the Muto attack coming on to the Hawaii airport, and finally the reveal of Godzilla. You could not get better when it comes to that opening. From the very first frame of the film all the way until that period, perfect stuff. So, alright, so I'm going to stop it here because I'm coming up to the 15-minute mark, but be sure to check out part 2 coming soon. Thanks, everybody.